Richard Hayden, you began your career working in the private sector before a 15-year career in the NHS in a variety of different roles, including operational and HR people management, organizational and business development. You're now the CEO of VAT, which is a trust responsible for the operation of 9 schools, 5 primary and 4 secondary. Thank you so much for joining me on Decoding Calm in 15 minutes. I really appreciate you coming, Richard.
Nice to meet you, Steve. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. So we only met 9 minutes ago.
Yes.
First thing I thought was, he's a calm guy, calm voice. I could probably listen to you doing a guided meditation. Maybe I should tap you up for that. Yeah, you seem pretty centered. You seem pretty calm. So the first question I normally kick off with is, would you, Richard, describe yourself as a calm person?
As a calm person. Um, the 47-year-old Richard, I would describe as a calm person. I probably wasn't there in my kind of teens and 20s.
Right.
But I think it's something, it's probably one of my biggest strengths is that I kind of maintain this kind of exterior of calmness. Internally, I might be, sometimes the brain might be firing quite quickly.
Right.
But I think from a variety of life experiences and work experiences, it's kind of grown me into the person I am now that allows me to be, calm in pretty much most situations, really.
Nice. So do you think we're probably going to hit on the million-dollar question right away then? Do you think anyone can say anything to let's use you specifically? Is there anything, any podcast, any show, any talk you could have listened to as a 20-something-year-old man that could have sped up that process that you went through of learning to be calmer, learning to deal with high stress situations in a wise, non-reactive,
Yeah.
responsive kind of way? Do you think, or do you think you people just have to do the hard yards and kind of have to learn the stuff the hard way?
I think it's a bit of both. I think I could have got here sooner if I had
Okay.
actually focused more on me and probably understanding myself better and what I needed to operate and probably being a bit kinder to myself at times. And I think if I'd had that kind of coaching or kind of developmental, a bit more me as a person or me as a leader or whatever, I think I would have got here a little bit quicker. I think it's been quite, you go through life experiences, and you pick stuff up along the way. And, but I think you can, I think I could have got here a lot sooner. I think I could have believed in myself earlier.
Right.
Um, but I think probably when I sort of did a lot of my kind of training and development, it was more about some of the skills, not necessarily about you as a leader, you as a person. And
Yeah.
I think even, it's slightly ironic that, I mean, I hated school, right? I absolutely, I'm the youngest of 3 boys. My 2 older brothers are very, very academic. I was the comedian out of the 3 of us, probably,
Really?
and hated school. Was always compared to not being as bright as the pair of them. And so probably didn't have that self-confidence.
Right.
And lo and behold, I'm now running nine schools, responsible for 6,500 young people and 900 plus staff. But I actually think that skill set of kind of learning those things that we've kind of picked up over the last 20 odd years is or 30 years even, is the stuff that we need to be teaching the young people to actually be
Yes.
kinder to themselves, allowing them some space, allowing them to appreciate what's around and not always being so eager to either please people or think that they need to know everything in that given moment. And I think we're not there yet. Within education, a lot of amazing things happen, but I think to answer your question, a bit of focused training on that to help unlock and teach some of that skill set as well as then experience is kind of the golden nugget, really, to come calm, I guess.
Yeah. So this has been a topic that's come up a fair bit for me. When I was doing my training at Oxford University, that I was aware of something called the Mindfulness in Schools project. And I had another great guy on my podcast earlier, a guy called David Harkin, who's CEO of a company called 8 Billion Ideas. And they're all
Yeah,
about schools and the bits of the curriculum that they think are missing
yeah,
to really bring on the next generation of kids who are just in a position to achieve and do great things, right? And does the kind of archaic curriculum fit the modern age? Are there gaps? Are we teaching all the kids the things they need to know, things like entrepreneurship or looking after their mental health or
yeah. So
managing social media?
we do all of that. We do all of that here within the trust. Could we do more? 100%. Obviously, there's a busy curriculum to get
Yeah,
through, and that's what obviously we have to do. We're regulated against it, but
yeah,
the amount of opportunities and the kind of the additionality that we do as a trust certainly is a focus for us as an organisation. Is the curriculum still right? We're probably more could be done on that. I think even with the growth of AI, predominantly we get A-level results come out on Thursday and GCSEs next week. Predominantly our young people are still coming out with the same kind of qualifications and experience that probably a lot of your listeners and you and I have come out with, and I think it's a different world and it's changing quite quickly. So I think with that, the need to have so much knowledge will be less because AI will have some of it. I firmly believe, but I'm bound to say this as somebody who has spent a lot of his career in kind of people-centered businesses, trained as a HR professional. But I really do think the big bit is about understanding yourself and working with people. And
yeah,
I think that's something that we need to continue to train and develop.
yeah. Completely agree. I think I was reading a book the other day, and it said that workplace stress. So, forgetting kids for a second, workplace
Yeah,
stress has gone up 50% in the last 5 years.
yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it? I mean,
It's a heck of
since 2010, it's gone up 50%. And, you and I are old enough to remember, being a kid with certainly no internet, certainly no smartphone,
yeah,
certainly no cable TV, right?
yeah,
Shops shut on a Sunday and the banks weren't closed. So I think, see if you agree on this, it's almost like the world when you and I were young was kind of set up more for people to be more present, more out in nature, less distracted, under less stimulation, right? The impact of the digital revolution hadn't happened yet, right?
yeah,
This is like 1990, mid 1990s plus, I guess, digital revolution, right? So a child today is born into a world, or the kids you're teaching, they've come into a world they don't know anything pre-internet, they don't know anything pre-smartphone, anything, there's always 500 TV channels. So
yeah.
do you think, I don't know if it's a rhetorical question because I'm not sure you do, but kids must be under so much more pressure these days to manage emotion, to manage stimulation, to regulate attention, to regulate awareness, to build emotional intelligence, way more than probably we were. And
100% agree.
right. And is that must be one of your biggest challenges in what
Yeah,
you do?
but the reality is it's the world that they're in and they're going to continue to be in. So I think it's I think it's funny enough. I was talking to a colleague this morning exactly about this. That it's a I'm not sure I'd want to be a young person today. I think we had it. I really do think we had it a lot easier in so many ways,
Yeah.
and there was more time to grow and develop. And it's a very challenging environment that our young people kind of grow up in and are experiencing. But it is the world, right? So what we have to do is continue to help guide and train and develop. And I think working and having grown up conversations with young people about, you know, the internet and social media, and actually, you know, being kind to yourself and allowing yourself time to process stuff is really important.
Mm.
You know, I've got children myself. I see that with them, and I think it's one of the big gigs for employers as these young people find their way into the workplace, that I think actually we need to ensure that we have a lot of this kind of training and support in there to help people grow, and actually ensure that they develop their kind of manual of what they need to be the very best that they can be, you know. And so
Mm.
whether, you know, we were talking before we started recording about, you know, you had a swim this morning and taking your dog out for a walk. You know, for me, it's because I'm a middle-aged, boring man. You know, it's about going out and hitting a small ball around a field, you know, for 4 or 5 hours. You know, and actually being out in nature, actually being out in the countryside, and actually not having anything else around
Yeah.
other than a bit of my thoughts, and actually a pretty spectacular place in the world, you know, in terms of
Yeah.
the countryside that we have. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's actually, you know, I think it's about actually helping people, and certainly the young people, in terms of actually ensuring that is as much of a skill set and priority than, you know, potentially, you know, uploading a TikTok or whatever it is.
Yeah. Do you think self-confidence is a bigger problem for children now than it's ever been? The self-confidence part, self-esteem part.
Self-esteem, I would think the studies say yes.
Yeah.
It's an unforgiving world, isn't it? Because
Very.
everything's recorded and uploaded, and you know, there's not much escapism, unfortunately. You know,
Mm.
even if you go back to pure basics of when you and I would have been at school, you know, there might have been an unpleasant school bully that you encountered whilst at school, but that individual wasn't then back at home,
Mm.
or you know, within your friendship group. And whereas now with the likes of social media, and youngsters not having the emotional intelligence to understand the implications of sometimes writing things. I mean, look at politicians. Look at some of the behaviour and that we see, you know, the whole time, and comments and statements being made. You know, it's a very unforgiving world, and so I think it's really hard. I think it's a really hard environment. But yeah, I mean, we work very hard on that. You know, there's a lot of education that goes into the sort of social media, and trying, you know, working on safety and, you know, prevention, etc. But I think we had a lot kinder environment to grow up in, whereby you could make a few mistakes and it wasn't recorded by somebody, or you didn't get a whole load of feedback back about it. And you know, you might have a friend or your brother or your sister or your parent or whoever might say you've been a bit of an idiot, Rich. But it wasn't this whole kind of you know, online kind of
Yeah.
jury, if you like.
Yeah. What's the highest stakes situation you've ever been in, Richard, and how did you get through it?
Um, God, that's a good question. I kind of think what I do day in, day out, to be honest,
Really?
without trying to be too sort of dramatic about it. But ultimately, you know, I've got 6,500 young people that are in our care, 900 plus staff. You know, it's an amazing privilege. But you know, I had a good childhood, but things could have been better, you know. And I want every person, every young person, everybody that works for me to be the very best that they can be, to have
Mm.
the tools to thrive in the world, and to go on and believe in themselves and do whatever it is that they want to do. And I guess that's quite a lot of pressure. I don't always get it right. We don't always get it right, but that to me, you know, even in health service days, running, looking after being an exec on call and responsible for beds, all of that stuff was very, very stressful. But I actually kind of think, I don't really do this to, for the salary. It's kind of actually making a difference. And I guess that's quite a high stake.
But you just touched on some really high pressure situations. And I know you've been a CEO, CFO, COO, so you've had lots of different C-suite roles.
Yeah.
Have you always been someone that can switch on? Have you had to work hard at switching off, at getting a good night's sleep, at not spending the entire round of golf worrying about the last email you opened or what you got to get back to? Or have you always
Yeah.
just been able to do that? Or is that something you've, okay, so
Yeah.
great. Tell us how you've achieved what you've achieved.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly, certainly wasn't able to do it in my younger years. I found it very, very challenging. And I think, and I had a couple of really difficult moments through my kind of career development with that pressure, and the enormity of situations at times, and I guess the values that my parents had brought us up with. I was, always have that kind of mantra of doing the right thing. So it's a little bit, it's a great thing, but it's also a bit of a burden. And so, having gone through a couple of difficult moments where I especially earlier on in my 20s, I lost all confidence in my own ability. I didn't think I could ever go and achieve anything.
Wow.
I thought I've always been good with data and numbers. I should just sit in front of a computer and, just do that type of role. And it really is, the kind of credit behind this is my older brother, James. He's a pediatric oncology consultant, and we'd never spoken before. And he basically did without me realizing, a little bit of CBT with me, which was basically to kind of reprogram my brain in terms of how I process stuff. And so I have this thing, and I will coach and mentor people, and I talk to them about the kind of technique that I use, which is relevant for me. It won't work for everybody, but I try to process stuff by putting it through like a decision tree, and so by doing that, usually on my drive home in the evening or my drive into work, if something's happened, I will process it. I will put it through my decision tree. I might pick up the phone to a couple of coachy kind of people that I have in my inner sort of group of people that I will trust. I probably have 5 or 6 people that I will speak to depending on the issue. And by doing that, I know that I've got a coping mechanism. And so when I go home to bed, I sleep. I didn't sleep last night because I had a disastrous round of golf. That kind of vexed me a little bit.
Oh, really?
Work with with work stuff, not really, and it's because I've actually learned that I need to have that processing in place to allow me, not all problems are solved at night. That actually it's okay. I can park it somewhere because my next step is to do ABC. I'm quite good at ensuring that I will get off my devices at a sensible time, that I will unwind with the family. I know a lot of people get a lot of joy out of reading before bed, or I tend not to do that because my brain starts firing again.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to sit outside and kind of listen to nature or an aircraft going over and just unwind a little bit. So I think I am the classic example of somebody that didn't think they could do this type of position, but have actually learned through difficult moments actually how to equip myself to actually work best for me.
Great answer. I'm fascinated. Were you serious about the golf keeping you awake at night, or was that
Yeah.
So I don't want to turn this into a kind of an analytical psychotherapy session, but isn't that interesting that so a round of golf that you're playing for fun, right? And it wasn't a serious competition it It was a
No,
fun.
no, no. It was with my 16-year-old son who was beating me. Yeah.
Oh, was that what it was?
No, I know. It wasn't the fact he was beating me. I was slightly jesting. It's the we've played 3 days in a row, so I was great on Saturday and Sunday, and I was awful last night, and it can. It is only me. It was only me with the golf club and hitting a golf ball.
Right.
So and normally I'm quite good at working things out. So I couldn't solve that problem last night as to what I was doing.
Oh, okay. So that was that's the thing that kept, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the great thing about being CEO is I've got an amazing group of people that work for me. I've got
Yeah.
an incredibly talented group of people, staff within the schools, a leadership team around me. And so the great thing about being CEO is if you surround yourself with talented people, they tend to come up with solutions for you.
Yeah.
None of them play golf. So, when we're all back at the start of the academic year, it will be a conversation we have as to somebody needs to help me, in this situation. But yeah, I mean, it's just a brain, isn't it? It's how do you sometimes you shut down those niggling things, and work wise, you predominantly people around you will come up with ideas and you'll process those and work it through. I think sometimes when it's solely to do with you, and I think sport can be a classic of this, is that it's not always easy to find that answer.
Yeah. Did you see I saw a quote. I don't follow golf particularly, but I saw it. Is the note world number one? He's a guy called Scotty Schaefer or something like that. Is that his name?
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
And I saw a great interview with him the other day, and he got a bit of stick for it. You know the one I mean, where he
yeah,
was basically saying people hadn't seen it. He said, so he's world number one, and on this BBC article they quoted how much money he'd earned, 60 something million dollars or
yes,
pounds, so
crazy.
a huge
Yeah,
amount of money, right? But he was basically saying this isn't as fulfilling as people think. Like striving to be number one, winning these majors, it's almost the arrival fallacy is real. When you get to the highest peak of this mountain in sport that he's got to, right? And so
yeah,
many golfers around the world will give their right arm to win what he's run and be able to play like he can, even for one round, right? But he was trying to say to people, this isn't that this isn't the kind of peak that everyone expects it to be. It's not. It won't last forever. It won't make you happy forever just because I've been number one and I've earned this amount of money. And I thought it was such a rounded answer that he gave, right? And you
yeah,
see it so often. So many people that make millions and some, they're very. It's a very kind of disappointing moment in some ways when they get there. I can remember watching the Olympics last year in Paris, and I really picked up on a word that a lot of the gold medalists use when they said, "How did you feel?" Stick a camera right under the face. How did you feel? You just won the gold. So many of them said words similar to relieved, especially if they were a strong favorite.
yeah,
People
yeah,
that are odds on to win it, and it's the Olympic final, and it's pressure. So once every 4 years, huge thing. And the overriding emotion was relief. Oh, thank God I did that. Not necessarily the joy and the
yeah,
euphoria that we all imagine. And I thought that was such a we're talking about emotional intelligence and self-awareness. I think this guy's got it, Scotty. Like he's got
yeah,
it. He's absolutely got it now, doesn't he? Right. If his golf game dropped off tomorrow, his entire sense isn't wrapped up in I'm number one, I'm this great golfer, I win tournaments, I've got loads of money, I'm a VIP, da 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 da.
yeah,
His sense of self is much more grounded in that. And I
yeah. Well,
really thought if he had a disaster, please God, it doesn't happen. If he had a horrendous accident and couldn't ever play golf again, I feel like he'd be kind of okay with that. I don't feel like his entire sense of self is invested in this.
yeah,
I thought that's such a healthy thing to show kids and to show everybody else that, of course, compete to your best. Of course, do as much as you can. But where is your real sense of self coming from? What really brings you peace? What really makes you
yeah.
content? Probably use the word content rather than happy because happy is a bit more fleeting. But yeah, I think the more role models we have like this, the better, especially for young kids.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's testament to I kind of call it the pie chart theory, that you know, home life and family and whatever else fits into there is equally as important as his career as a golfer, or if career here as a chief exec or whatever, whatever you're doing. I think having that balance,
Yeah.
around that pie chart is massively important. And actually just having a bit of perspective at times is, sleeping, helping to sleep at night, just understanding that, not everything is as important as you think it is, and just being a bit kinder to yourself in terms of it. And I think it's great to have role models like that can actually say those types of things. I mean, it's not bad when you're world number one golfer and you've got quite a few pounds in the bank account to be able to say it. But it's I think it is. I think it's refreshing to hear somebody being that honest.
Yeah, I do too. And love him or hate him, I quite like how open Tyson Fury, the boxer, has been about his struggles with mental health.
Yeah.
With so many men in particular
Yeah.
struggle with mental health, and to see, in quotes, the toughest guy on the planet in some ways,
Yeah.
admit, like this, these are the words we use, aren't they? Like I've just found myself using the word admit. Like it's such a strong, I admit I struggle with my mental. I think it's really healthy for young boys to see someone like him say, guys, yeah, I've earned millions. Yeah, I'm the toughest guy around. Yeah, I've got every car and house and da da. Da. Do you know what? I still get sad sometimes. I still get anxious sometimes. I still don't sleep sometimes. And it's all right. It's all right to say that. And it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you pathetic. It doesn't mean you're not
Yeah,
a
definitely.
man. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
I'm going to close with some quick fire questions. That's all right, because we've run
Okay.
over slightly. You morning or an evening person, Richard?
I used to be an evening person, but sadly, as I'm getting older, I'm a morning person. So I'm more productive in the morning than I am in the evening.
Do you prefer emails or phone calls?
Emails.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? It would have to be a chili.
Oh, nice. Homemade.
Yeah, homemade chili. Yeah,
Nice. We'll have to swap recipes. I've got a good one.
good. I
Uh,
shall have that.
favorite book?
Favorite book? Probably. Which one am I going to go? I kind of have two. So, from a leadership point of view, I love the James Kerr book on legacy. That's about the New Zealand All Blacks. It's about passing the shirt on to the next person.
Okay.
I kind of like that. I wish we sometimes had a bit more of that in our society and culture, about understanding your place and leaving whatever you've done better for the next, ready for the next person.
Yeah.
And the book that probably has given me the greatest amount of joy, probably, I think I read it in my early 20s, but was the book by autobiography by Mandela, the Long Walk to Freedom. I think it's the only book that I have given to every family member and told them that they have to read it. And I don't know why, but it's one of those books that kind of stuck with me, really.
Nice. Guilty pleasure.
Well, you might have picked up on this earlier on. So when I left uni, I had an interview to become a pilot, and rightfully they decided that probably psychologically they shouldn't give me an aircraft. So I'm a bit of a plane geek. So
Yeah.
I've just moved house, and over the last couple of nights, I have been known, much to the disgust of my children, to be sat outside with a drink, and I kind of live on Ashdown Forest, so the aircraft stack as they come into Gatwick. So it's, my children say sometimes, Dad, it's bordering on a little bit too much, but yeah, a bit of a plane geek. I know.
But when you described earlier sitting in your garden, you used the example of watching an aircraft go over, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that felt quite meditative, the way you described it. And I could tell, I was just imagining you out there on your own. And when I teach my programs, one of the things I say to people is, if you're out and about, if you're somewhere busy, a little hack, if you want to use that word, to kind of quiet your mind, is to raise your gaze. If you can remember that little mantra, raise your gaze. Because when you
Yes.
raise your gaze, a big part of our brain is dedicated to processing what we see as humans, right? The biggest part of our strongest sense is our vision. And so that's what stimulates thoughts and keeps our incessant thinking mind going, right? Everything we see. People can just notice as you're walking around Tesco's, I like her shoes, I don't like his hat. What have I got to get for lunch? Do I reply to that email? I've got to do that. I send that. the mind's constantly whizzing, right? And a lot of what we see kind of provokes even more thoughts. So if you raise your gaze, there's not a whole bunch of stuff happening in the sky. If I do it right now, I can actually see a plane and the kind of trail behind it. Beautiful blue sky here today. Some trees blowing in the wind in the distance, rooftops. That's it. There's
Yeah.
not a bunch of stuff in my mind to go crazy and start labeling and processing and thinking. So it's a
Yeah.
great way to quiet your mind. So when you said earlier, just listening to the aircraft or watching it or seeing it, I could really imagine that. An empty sky, plane goes through. It's a
Yeah.
lovely way to reconnect. You talked about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy earlier. It's a really nice way, I think, to ground yourself. So I would disagree with your kids and say, keep doing it. Um,
I should quote you tonight. I
quite
should
me,
quote
yeah,
you.
yeah. If you could invite anyone over for dinner, alive or dead, Richard, who would you have? Nelson,
Oh, crumbs.
Nelson or someone else?
Oh,
Nelson Mandela and
crumbs.
Scotty Schaefer. How about that? That'd be two interesting.
um, Mandela would be a good shout. Oh, I'm going to be really, really emotional. Probably, I probably would say my mum. So she lost her battle with cancer 9 years ago, and she was an incredibly. I talk about her quite a lot when people ask me about kind of my leadership approach and how why I am the way that I am. I had great parents, totally flawed in so many ways, but brilliant. But she was so kind, so interested in everyone, really understood that interaction on a one-on-one level to get the best out of everybody. Yeah, I mean, I look back at it now, and I think it was probably, unfortunately, a time of kind of the era that she was in the world. She was, without doubt, without her ever realizing it, probably the most natural leader I've ever come across, but she had no idea. I mean, if I'd said that to her, she would be petrified. You know, she her big role was bringing up us three boys. You know, she was all about the family. She was a secretary, you know, a personal assistant. But she, in all honesty, her qualities, her attributes, way she conducted herself, her passion for people, she was by miles ahead of most leaders I've ever come across. And actually, probably without me realizing, it's only kind of upon reflection, have realized the impact that that approach and style that she had, not just as a mum, as a person, as a human being, you know, kind of, you know, how influential that has been on me. So I think, although, I mean, Nick Faldo, Stephen Gerrard, you know, would be up there. I actually would quite like, you know, I'd quite like. I'm not sure she would go for chili. It might have to be more of an Italian dish for her. But I think a nice bottle of red and I'd love to be able to just say, kind of get her to realise actually the leadership traits, the leadership that she had as a person. I think that would be pretty special.
That's such a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Such a lovely testimonial to her. And I've only known you for 42 minutes, but I think what you described in her, already start to kind of feel in you just in this initial conversation. I can feel the kindness and the warmth. And obviously, Gillian, Charles, I've put you and I in
Yeah.
contact. She said, what a really nice guy you are. So I'm sure your mum.
She had more hair, though, just to be clear. She had more hair.
I'm sure she'd be extremely proud of you, mate. So
Thank you. Thank you.
on that note, Richard, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.